The number of Kenyans with kidney failure increases every year for a number of reasons. It is estimated that 10,000 Kenyans are in need of either dialysis or a transplant because of kidney failure. In 2019 alone, 163 Kenyans underwent a kidney transplant in 7 different hospitals across the country. The Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital is one of the 7 facilities where kidney transplants are a routine surgery. We witness one of these kidney transplants. On Doctor's Diary, your everyday hero is Dr. James Mwoki, an orthopedic surgeon in Makindu Sub-County Hospital, Makueni County. His presence at the hospital has been a blessing to residents and Nairobi-Mombasa Highway Road users who would otherwise suffer without anyone to fix their bones and joints. His arrival at the county made news headlines with the first ever knee replacement surgery that he did. This is Health Digest. I'm Dr. Masi Korir, and we start with a kidney transplant. When you meet Jotham Adamba, he strikes you as any other man who has spent his youthful years building the nation, but has now quietly retired in the village to go about his other activities. Adamba is now 62 years old, a retired nurse who served people in need at the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital in Eldoret. We meet up with him in Chebara, Nandi County, where the bliss of fresh countryside air and the warm rays of the sun are to die for. He and his younger brother Mark Adamba share a lot more than brotherhood.
Ni mwenyewe tu alikubali kwa sababu alielezwa moja inaweza tolewa na hiyo ingine endelee kufanya kazi ya hiyo ingine. Kwa hivyo ndio akakubali. Ingawa kuna wengine ambao alikataa hata kushiriki, akifikiri atakufa, lakini haikuwa vile.
Adamba was diagnosed with hypertension and diabetes in 1991, almost 30 years ago. All was well until 2004 when he noticed that something was wrong.
Nilianza kujikuna, mwili kakuwa nyeusi, makojo kutoka ni ngumu, alafu nikawa nafura mwili.
Soon, he was diagnosed with the one thing that many with diabetes and hypertension would not want to have. His kidneys had failed, and he needed dialysis at least once every week. This was back then, before dialysis services were readily available and accessible.
Nilianza waliniweka kwa dialysis au kusafisha figo zangu, kusafisha damu, kutoa ile uchafu figo haingetoa. Sasa nilisafisha kwa miaka 2, kutoka 2004 mpaka 2600. Wakati huo ilikuwa napangwa nifanyiwe transplant. Kwa hivyo wakati huo wote nilikuwa nafanyiwa dialysis at least safari moja kwa wiki. Saa ingine vifaa wakati huo ilikuwa ngumu, maana tulikuwa wagonjwa wachache na vifaa ya kufanyia hayo matibabu ilikuwa haijapatikana huko Eldoret. Sasa ilikuwa na odiwa kutoka Nairobi. Saa ingine Nairobi ilikuwa haijafika kutoka ng'ambo hizo supplies, lakini baadaye zikaanza kuja regularly, ndio nikaendelea kufanyiwa dialysis na wengine.
Of the two options between dialysis and a kidney transplant, kidney specialists would tell you a transplant is the preferred choice. Once one is started on dialysis, an exit plan towards a transplant is advisable.
2004, ndio nilikuwa najaribu kutafuta dona. Dona yangu alikuwa ni ndugu yangu mdogo, our last born, ambaye alikubali kudonate kidney moja, na ndio hivyo ikafanyika tarehe 7 mwezi ya 6 2006. Hapo ndio transplant ilifanyika huko MTRH.
Dialysis offers one a chance of an extra 5 years of healthy life compared to a kidney transplant that offers at least 12 years as long as the kidney remains viable. Adamba is a testament to this. As the Moi Teaching and Referral's first ever kidney transplant patient, his gamble is 14 years later, something that he is glad he did.
Baada ya kumaliza hiyo, nikarikawa vizuri na nikaendelea kutumia dawa ambayo ya kuzuia mwili sikatae, ambayo naitumia hadi wa leo. Pele nilikuwa naenda around 60,000 per month. Lakini kwa wakati huu sasa imereduce mpaka kwa mwezi moja natumia around 20,000. Transplant inakusaidia tena, inafanya maisha inaendelea kama kawaida, kwa sababu ukishafanyiwa transplant utakuja endelea na kazi zako, ingawa utafanya kazi ile mzito, lakini utafanya kazi ambayo ile unaweza. Ukifanyiwa dialysis, compare na dialysis itakuchukua muda mrefu. At the same time, resources au inafanya mali ile ulikuwa nayo hata unauza, inachukua pesa mingi. Tena hutakuwa na nafasi ya kufanya chochote, maana wakati wote utakuwa ukienda kufanyiwa kuosha damu, na ukirudi umechoka, sasa unakaa tu.
The number of Kenyans with kidney failure increases every year for a number of reasons. It is estimated that 10,000 people have kidney failure and are in need of either dialysis or transplant. In 2019 alone, 163 Kenyans underwent a kidney transplant in 7 different hospitals across the country. Data by the Kenya Renal Association indicates that this latest number of kidney transplants has been from a gradual increase, from 36 in 2015, 32 in 2016, 56 in 2017, and 77 in 2018.
More than 10% of the Kenyan population have known or tend to be known to have the chronic kidney disease, whereby it affects the kidneys. Is a slow progressing disease and largely is manageable and preventable condition. This condition is caused because of the lifestyle conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, as well as infectious diseases, maybe like HIV, malaria, among others. But also, it's also important that to appreciate that children also that they tend to get these chronic conditions, and this is because of the fact that they are born with congenital anomalies, which if can be detected early and corrected, they tend to have a normal kidney function. But unfortunately, they're rarely detected early. So if we look in terms of the nutrition needs, a lot of sugars in our foods, in our whatever we take in our families has a lot of sugar, and this affects our kidneys.
Dr. Philip Cheptinga is the head of nephrology services at the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital that does either 1 or 2 kidney transplants in a week.
Whereby those who are in early stages we ensure that you remain in early stages for as long as possible, maybe 20 years. If you have diabetes, we want to ensure that you remain with your diabetes by controlling your sugars, your blood pressures, so that does not affect your kidneys. Number two, I also want to appreciate that the Moitiya Referral Hospital, those who have end-stage renal disease, we do what we call replacement. And this gives us the option of dialysis or transplantation. We have been active, we have had an active hemodialysis program from the year 2001 and an active kidney transplant from the year 2006. Yearly we dialyze over 18,000 dialysis sessions as a hospital, and we do also an average of the last 30 to 40 transplants per year. For the last 10 years, we have managed to do over 127 successful kidney transplant at Moitiya Referral.
As happens whether in Kenya or overseas, a kidney transplant is a three-part process that begins with the pre-transplant preparations.
We look for the donor, potential donor. We look at the blood group. We look at that the donor is medically fit and fit to donate, and there's no effects of transplantation or donating the kidney. All these entails taking the blood, doing the lab work, doing the radiology investigations, and unfortunate, there are some tests which are not done in Kenya, and we have to send some samples to South Africa, like what we call the T-cell cross-match. Two, we have also the TSA, where we send samples to India. Overall, it costs more than 200,000 to prepare one donor to donate a kidney. Luckily, NHIF has not covered this aspect, and we kindly request the government through the NHIF to consider.
Dr. Cheptinga and other kidney specialists consider transplant not only financially cheaper to do, but also socioeconomically beneficial to the patient with kidney failure.
NHIF, they pay 9,500 shillings per dialysis session, and they also actively pay for the transplantation, where they pay $500,000 for the recipient and up to 130,000 for the donor, totaling 630,000. It's cheaper to transplant, maintain a patient on transplantation than the dialysis, because you'll see later on that post-transplant care, the patient uses an average of 40,000 per month, unlike the hemodialysis where the patient spends up to 78,000 Kenya shillings per month. So we tend to save up to another 40,000 if we transplant this particular patient.
At MTRH, a candidate for a transplant is reviewed every Monday by a team to ascertain whether they are transplant ready or not.
On a daily basis, we receive an average of up to 5 new patients seeking transplantation. We have got what we call transplant protocol, and it's usually individualized. Every patient have their own what costs the kidney, what could be and how long will the new kidney, we give maybe a rough estimate how long the new kidney can stay. We also look in terms of why is this patient not transplanted as soon as possible. Is it because of financial, is it because of psychosocial support, among others. We also assess the mental status of the patient, the family, are they ready for the transplant process, or they tend to have challenges later.
A successful kidney transplant demands a good number of healthcare personnel who are the nephrologist, general surgeon, urologist and vascular surgeons, a perioperative nurse specialist, nephrology nurse for post-operative care, a pharmacist, a radiologist, nutritionist, physiotherapists and counselors. Getting these personnel who are well trained has been difficult, but a deliberate effort to build capacity to achieve this was needed, as Dr. John Ngigi, the head of the renal unit at the Kenyatta National Hospital, explains.
Coming home, if I look at Kenyatta National Hospital, we have been undertaking what you call the Interlife program. Interlife program is a program that started 10 years ago, co-funded or heavily funded by Novartis through a PPP program, really their CSR, so to say, and supported by the Spanish team, Clinic de Barcelona. This program has seen not only the number of people transplanted, but also has seen the training that I talked about, massive training within the hospital. Many nurses have been trained, and doctors have also been trained. Besides that, and as an offshoot of this, the African Development Bank funded what will become a center of excellence for kidney and urology, the East African Kidney Institute. Now, this kidney institute has been virtual for some time, but it's domiciled at the Kenyatta National Hospital, as it were, before they set up the block, the administration block and teaching block within the big Kenyatta National Hospital compound. Now, within this East African Kidney Institute, for example, and within the last 2 years, 5 new nephrologists have been injected into the program. Many nurses have been trained as well. So this East African Kidney Institute basically has come in to bring in human capital and train people, not only for Kenya, by the way, but for the East African region.
Once a green light is given for a transplant, the actual transplant preparations begin.
We normally give some immunosuppressants so that the new kidney is not rejected by the patient's immune response. And we start maybe like for a week earlier. We also check the levels of these drugs.
The transplant surgeries take at least 6 hours. Surgeries that happen concurrently with 2 sets of teams, one at the donor side to get the kidney and the other at the recipient side, who will transplant the kidney as soon as it is out. The teams have a maximum of 5 minutes between getting the kidney and transplanting it. A delicate process that requires them to be fast and precise at the same time, with no room for an error. One mistake and a kidney could be lost.
The patient is no longer coming to the hospital more regularly. The patient is becoming a more active member of the society. They contribute actively, they generate income, they generate also not only for himself but also the entire family, the entire community, and more so they contribute to the national economy of the country, unlike the one the patient is dialyzing, because they remain just coming in out of the hospital.
After the surgery, the post-transplant care begins immediately to make sure that the transplanted kidney works well and that both donor and recipient recover and walk home better than they came to hospital.
There is the immediate post-transplant care. That is really the first week. And then thereafter, we look at 1 month after the transplantation, and then 3 months after the transplantation and into the future now. Oftentimes, we hope or anticipate that the kidney will function or kick in terms of function immediately, because we are dealing with life-related donors. It is the kidney that is life from a living person that is healthy. So oftentimes we see it working immediately or functioning immediately, even before they come from theatre, and we just monitor to see the trend.
At this point, the recipient of the kidney needs to be on a number of medicines. Some, like the immunosuppressants, are for life.
So we begin to train them or to teach them about these medicines, so that by the moment they exit the hospital, they are quite well aware. Likewise, we do not forget the donor or the person who donated the kidney. We ensure that they remain healthy and they remain conscious about their health. And obviously, like anybody who comes from a major operation.
For a good number of transplant patients, access to these medicines is often a challenge because of the costs involved.
We have also had a repeat transplant, not only one, but also even two. For the cases we think what could have caused the kidney to fail initially, what could have caused the new graft to fail, and subsequently. Most of the time the kidney fails because most patients don't have enough money to buy the immunosuppressants or the drugs which will reduce the rejection of the new kidney, because of they don't get support really, either from the family, from relatives, or even even the NHIF itself, because NHIF does not cover post-transplant care. And really, to me, it's still a big challenge.
Because dialysis is covered by NHIF, an average Kenyan may be forced to restart dialysis if, for the reason of cost or otherwise, the newly acquired kidney fails.
One of the things that transplant programs must endeavor to do, be they national or hospital, is to have outcome data that can be audited. And when I talk about 200 patients we have transplanted, many of those patients are still out there not requiring dialysis. Of course, 15% will still, in any setup, get some issues with their kidney, and they may have kidney rejections, and they may go back to dialysis also. But our outcomes have been good, not only at the Kenyan National Hospital, but generally as a country, of the programs that have been undertaken by various hospitals.
Adamba is happy that, with the support of family and friends back then, he has a 14-year-old story to tell. And so does his brother, who had been warned from risking death if he donated his kidney to his older brother, who was in need. Mark Adamba goes about his business of welding, as his brother Jotham gets about his business of electricals and hardware. The two brothers sharing kidneys are happy that 14 years down the line, a successful kidney transplant gave Jotham a new lease of life, an independent one.